we have another person joining us, and she's here right now, and I'm so glad to have her with us. Several times today, I've already shown you my activator pulls, urban pulling. So, right? So the founder, the creator, the person who is going to speak with us is my friend Mandy Shintani, and we're going to actually make the screen big in a minute. Thank you, Mandy, for joining us, taking this time, because I know you're really, really busy.
Oh, thanks for having me. I'm excited to talk to you today about it.
What I'm going to do is real quick, based on a problem earlier today I had, which was my problem. You emailed me, and I have the slideshow. Actually, let me just do this in case the sharing doesn't work, because I've had a little problem with that today.
Okay.
And
do you want me to try to share it too, or do?
Okay, yeah. Why don't you do that first? So I'm going to get back on here. Let me go to the.
Looks
great.
Looks like it's working. Can everyone see that?
Yes, I can. Okay. Can everyone else see it?
Yeah.
Sang? Russ, you're good? Oh, good, because I gave you remote access, so you're good. So if you see me disappear, I'll be back in literally 1 minute, but please, welcome Mandy Shintani. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having me, Carl. I just found that last presentation so interesting. You know, it is an area I haven't heard people talk a lot about. I had no idea they're prevalent. So, just wanted to mention what an interesting area for someone to give a talk about and raise awareness. So hi everyone, and so Carl, should I just go do the presentation, or do people just want to ask me questions throughout? I want to make it a bit more informal. Like I saw that Brian was just really, talking to you from the visit. So
I'll tell you what, I think it'd be great. Because I love the presentation you have, and I've seen various ones you do. How about you go through this, and then we'll get rid of the slides, make you big on the screen, and we can have a conversation, okay?
Okay, that sounds perfect.
So the floor is yours. I'll be back in about 1 minute. But go ahead.
Absolutely.
Go ahead. Okay, go for it.
Okay, sounds good. So Carl had asked me to come today to talk to you about Nordic walking. And the pole specifically that we've designed here in Canada is called the activator pole. So mine's really about how it has changed the way that we teach about walking here in Canada and rehabilitation. And probably the area or the group of people who've had the biggest impact in, for sure, is people with Parkinson's. So just give you a little bit of a background. I am an occupational therapist. I'm a gerontologist by background. And 15 years ago, my neighbor introduced to me the whole concept of Nordic walking. Has anyone here actually, just maybe raise your hand, has anyone heard about Nordic walking or using walking poles? Okay, Russ, okay. So if you guys, excellent, perfect. Okay, so it sounds like it's a concept that you've heard about. So 15 years ago, I'd never heard of Nordic walking. Just so you know, we've coined it as being urban polling here in Canada. So you'll hear me use that term as well. And it was introduced to me by my Swedish neighbor, because at the time I was looking at healthy aging trends, and I think we can all agree the Swedes are probably or the healthiest, or one of the healthiest groups on the planet, populations on the planet. And when my neighbor introduced this concept to me, which I'd never heard about, of just using walking poles while you're walking, basically, I looked at the research, and there are 300 studies on PubMed. And a lot of those are related to, there is actually 18 just on the benefits for Parkinson's. And this is growing all the time. So Parkinson's, I have to say, of all the populations, is probably the one that's been represented the most when you look at a lot of the research. And it's just it's an activity that we found for people with Parkinson's. For some people, the effects and the changes on your walking ability are immediate. And that isn't for everyone, but the change in terms of forcing you to stand more upright, walking faster, and just the confidence you get from having that support on both sides of your body. And definitely, I would say, like here in Canada, probably the people who use our poles the most are people with pre and post hip and knee surgery. But the people who call us the most and contact us the most, and the area where I talk the most on by far is Parkinson's. So then we looked at, okay, well, how do you change that design to make it safer and more effective for people who have Parkinson's and are going to be weight bearing more on the poles and more reliant than on the fitness activity. So just to give you a quick look, that's kind of what it looks like, this couple with just using walking poles. The upper extremity is doing a technique somewhat similar to cross-country skiing. And I don't know, are you guys, do you do cross-country skiing in Pennsylvania at all? Is that, or in your
I do here in Syracuse. We get a lot of snow.
Oh, okay.
So snowshoeing but cross-country skiing, yeah.
Okay, great. Yeah, because I find sometimes people aren't as familiar with the activity if, they don't cross-country skiing or snowshoeing isn't as familiar. And let me just give you a quick idea in this video of what the fitness activity looks like. So I'm just going to stop it right here. So hopefully what you saw there is it's a really fluid movement. The pole is actually pushing you forward. So that's why people get more speed with it. It is exactly the same movement as regular walking, which is opposite arm and leg. So that's another reason why it really helps to normalize your walking pattern. So let me hold on. So let me just stop it right there. Can you see? Hopefully you can see that the ladies are walking opposite arm and leg. And look at the arm swing that is happening with this. And look at the leg stride. So, like lots of times, as you know, when you get Parkinson's, everything gets smaller, right? Lots of times you don't see that arm swing. You tend to have more of a stooped posture. Your stride length gets smaller. But when you push down on the base of that handle, like right here, as you're pushing on it, it's propelling you forward. And that propulsion forward is actually resulting in you forcing you to now make a bigger stride length to keep up with that. And also, hopefully what you notice when those two ladies were doing it is that you get into a really nice fluid movement, right? It's because you're doing the same movement you should be doing for walking. It's pushing you forward, and then you get into this rhythm. Like actually, we had a lot of veterans say, hey, that looks a lot like marching. And the beauty of that is that as it's pushing you forward, a lot of people with Parkinson's have told us like less rigidity, right? Better coordination, faster walking speed. And also, the more normal your walking is, what the research shows is that you're less likely to fall, like your risk of falls decreases, right? And then it fits in really well. I'm sure from all these, discussions that Carl's had and other speakers, it's all about having that confidence to do those larger movements, right? And that's exactly when you got that support bilaterally, people feel more confident to walk faster, and to use bigger movement. It almost makes you over-exaggerate walking. Like you see, like these two ladies, if you're just looking at this picture right here, you can see that's an over-exaggeration of your normal walking.
Yeah, that's a long step there, a long stride.
Exactly.
But you know what I love, and I'm sorry to interrupt, is if you look at like the LSVT Big program or the Move Big program, well, that's or even the Power Moves. Becky Farley down in Arizona, right? She's got a great program too, and a lot of it has to do with to get to normal or closer, I should say, closer to normal movement in range of motion and all limbs. You must over-exaggerate a lot of times. And so what I love about this is it propels you into it. Plus, look at their posture.
Yeah.
And the head position, too.
Yeah. Oh, Carl, that you just said it perfectly, beautifully. That's it, right? Is that over-exaggeration, hopefully what we're resulting that translates into is that whether you're using the poles or not, you're going to, that over-exaggeration hopefully just brings you just more closer to normal. And I found a lot of trainers use the poles to show people how to over-exaggerate. Like it gives you a lot of cueing, right? Because you can feel it in your hands, you can see it, it's pushing you forward, you can feel that push as as it lands, and all those are cues to your body about over-exaggerating your step as well. So, yeah, please intervene. And then
I'll just say this too: is I use my poles for hiking too.
Yeah, I
use it on trails. I'll do it for some steeper climbs, but I love having them when I hike. I love it. It adds extra sensory input. Yeah.
Yeah. And thanks for mentioning that, because what we found too is that a lot of people would start off with just using the poles to walk, and then they would call us back. They said, "Oh, actually, I'm hiking now. I've taken them out snowshoeing." So it starts out, and then some people said, "I've actually started traveling with them. Like I can do the day trips because I feel like I've got." So great point, Carl. How it kind of starts off first with just about walking. But then it starts moving into all these other different activities.
You can do this with them. You can pack them up and take them with you. So they're shorter. It's great.
Yeah, and a lot of people too, just feel like if they're, even people who've taken cruises have said, you know what, with my poles packed in my suitcase, I'm able to go on the day trip that everyone else is going on because I feel like, I've got that extra support. So it's neat how it's really facilitated people into doing just more in their daily activities, in life. A little easier to carry too than, if you're using public transit or in your house compared to a walker.
Sure.
And then some people love the self-image compared to using a cane or walking. We have a very famous physician around here, Dr. Jack Totten. He's our chief medical officer. And he just feels like he's always been an athlete, and he just loves the perception of people seeing him around town using, something that looks like hiking poles compared to, canes or walkers. And he still walks, 13 kilometers a day.
Man, so, he makes me look like an amateur, but I love it.
I know. And then, so here's another change too. It's like, so it's not even just about walking, it's about like actual muscle strengthening. So every time you're pushing down, so I've talked to you mostly about how to change your walking pattern, but what's really neat is every time you push down on the pole, you actually are moving from walking, which uses your lower extremity, to, look at this, you use 75 to 90% of your muscles. So it's not even just about getting you walking. It's actually about doing strengthening exercises and resistance training. So what I love about it is that, people tell me I don't like to exercise, but you still need to walk every day. Mm-hmm. And so you can now incorporate into your just day-to-day life walking and exercising together. And then every time you press down, you actually are engaging your core. So if I had you just do a simple exercise with me, put out your hand, like you saw those ladies, they're doing like that friendly handshake, right?
Yep.
So they were kind of moving their hands like this. So just put your hand out and put it resting on the table that's that your laptop is on, or back of a chair. And I want you to rest it and put a downward force onto the table, like push down the table, as if you're pushing down on this ledge here of the pole. And now put one hand on your abs, okay? So it's actually with a loose grip. It's a push down, not a tight grip, right? Because the more you grip tight on it, you actually are stressing your joints. So it's actually we designed it as an OT for it to be ergonomic. So it's just a loose grip, but it's a push down. And now put one hand on your stomach. And hopefully what you're going to feel is that every time you push down, as if you're pushing down through here, you actually are going to get an abdominal contraction. So, what does that kind of translate into? Well, let me just give you an example. If you were just to walk for 1 mile, just 1 mile, you get 1,800 contractions happening in your stomach, because you take about 1,800 steps. And every step you take, you're going to push down, and you're going to push that ledge to push you forward. And when you're pushing forward, you're doing a contraction in your abdominal muscles. So again, just a really fun, easy, convenient way for you to do your core strengthening. And I think, what's the benefit of core strengthening? Well, core strengthening is your ability to sit to stand, right? That's all about your ability to walk effectively is based on your core. So, your core strength has so many key points to it. And then, it's just about what I like about too. It's not just about rehab. It's about what's a tool you can do for the rest of your life, like what's a tool you can use to be more involved in your community and active living and socialization. And this is Joy. She's 102 years old. She just finished walking 86 kilometers over 102 days it was a fundraiser she wanted to start on her own.
Now I'm really an amateur.
I know.
Wow, man.
Yeah. And what's even amazing is that she actually broke her wrist and during this whole journey, and she just gave herself 6 weeks to recover, and she went right back to it. So,
wow.
And then it's a great time during COVID, right? Because I don't know how it is for you guys, but walking is one of the few recommended activities, that
Sure.
you can do right now. So a lot of fitness instructors are just simply taking people out walking right now. So I just wanted to show you just a quick clip of, you can kind of do it at, whatever age, and, can now be the walking is turned into a fitness workout.
I'm sorry I'm interrupting again, but I just want to reiterate there was 3 people who I work with, because I'll go see them at their homes usually, or they'll come in to see me at a place where I train out of. But I do more home visits, and there are a lot of things we can do. But with 3 of the people I work with right now, 2 with PD in this out of the 3 and 1 without, we walk for about 20 or 30 minutes as a part of each workout, because they'll do it. That's one of the reasons why they will do it, and they can get moving, and we use poles. So it's been, walking is underrated, I think. I think that a lot of times people think we need to, even me, I'm guilty of this, even up until fairly recently. Once I interviewed Harvard professor John Rady a few months ago, and he told me how great walking is and why, I realized that I do have a tendency to overcomplicate things, and it doesn't need to be that way all the time. If you like it, good, we'll do it, but walking might be. So, yeah, I just, it's a great thing.
No,
Hesitation
no,
mode?
thanks, John. Because Carl, you're absolutely right. Like walking is something that I still think, a lot of physicians, specialists, don't really recognize the benefits of
Mhm.
walking. I think it's one of the most beautiful things you could do. Your body was meant to walk,
Yes.
the running as we get older, the jogging, it's jarring, and all the new research that's coming out just showing that, you know, being outside has huge benefits, the vitamin D on mood, on stress, and what's the easiest way for people to be outside? Walking.
Mhm.
So, again, thanks for making that point, because I think, and again, that's what made me so interested. If you look at the Swedes and the Scandinavians and you ask them, why are they the healthiest people on the planet? The first thing they'll say is because we're walkers.
Mhm. Yeah.
And we're all trying to, do so many complex things to get better. And if you look at who the proof is in the pudding, the healthiest people on the planet, and they're simply just out walking as their body was, meant to do.
Mhm.
I just want to show you this lady here with Parkinson's. That traditional, that sort of not common thing of, you're not moving your arms, small steps, smaller speed, and
Oh,
look
wow.
at the
Look
difference
at that.
there.
Look at that stride length.
Yeah.
And her posture is better too.
And just her
Head
arm
position
movement.
better. Arm movement. Gait symmetry.
Yeah.
Well, stride symmetry, I mean. Well, that's nice.
Yeah. So, and then I just want to show you, like, I know this is new in the US, but this activity is recognized throughout the world. Like, here's the World Confederation of Physiotherapy. And look how they have recognized, we've been doing it for 15 years here in Canada, but, they do it in the UK, they do it in Scandinavia, Germany, Australia. It is a recognized, and this is our hope, is that coming into the United States, that we can really bring up the profile of this being, an activity that is excellent for people with Parkinson's and many other conditions. And then, just to also reinforce that we're trying to show people that this is an effective alternative to canes, and to delay or reduce the use of walkers. So of course, there's many times when people need a walker, right, for safety and stability.
Sure.
But what we're trying to do is say that there are a lot of challenges associated with the walker too. And when are the times that you could perhaps have people use poles before they start using the walker? Or we have people in Canada using walkers, but every day they have, they work with their fitness trainer, their therapist, so that they still can use the poles for daily fitness walking or seated and standing exercises. So just
Right.
wanted to, introduce this concept to you as well. And so the challenge is, of course, with the walkers, that there is no arm swing, kyphotic posture, smaller stride. And then you can see, already the differences for that lady there.
Can we see that again? That was really impressive. That was, look at her posture.
Mm-hmm.
It really, how many degrees of improvement were happening there? And the stride length, head position, beautiful, beautiful.
And then, you know what, I'm just going to quickly go through this because I think we're getting close to the time. But just as I mentioned,
take your time. We can go over, don't worry.
Okay. So there's, as I mentioned, there's quite a few studies on Parkinson's. This is the one I talk about a lot when I go to conferences. This is one where they're comparing just general walking, flexibility and balance exercises, and then, as I mentioned, the generic name Nordic walking. What they found is all those groups showed improvements, right? Reduced pain, balance, quality of life. But the guys who did Nordic walking, they also got improved posture, stride length, gait pattern, so walking pattern, and less gait variability, again, which is related to your risk of falls. And this is comparing it to resistant band treatment. This is just generally older adults, but improved upper body, cardiovascular strength, cardiovascular endurance, and flexibility. Because you get about 25% of a higher cardiovascular workout. Sorry, the reason why I want to bring that up is I'm sure you guys are all familiar with the recent study, and the author's name escapes me, where, they really encourage in the early stages of Parkinson's to work at 85% of your maximum heart rate. So you saw there how in that first video, how you can take walking into that brisk walking range very easily. So if that's one of your goals, is to have people in their earlier stages, I'm sure it's helpful for, up to the mid stage, but the research was done in early stage Parkinson's. You can really bring up your heart rate, and you can really bring it down. Like I showed that's the high fitness end, but I just want to say too, that at the same time, we work with people who are, in SNFs, centers where I'll show you later on, how do you really bring it down to someone who walks very slowly. And like you saw that one with the walkers. So what's neat is you can do it on the both ends, right?
Sure.
I think you've had a bit of experience with that too, Carl, because you work with clients who really are quite varied in your practice.
I just started with a new client the other day who immediately with the pulls, his posture improved, head position improved, stride length, stride symmetry, and his confidence improved. And his wife was happy. I always love to have spouse caregiver with us during at least the first meeting because, quite honestly, we're going to get feedback from them that the person with PD either doesn't want to share or doesn't remember to share or doesn't even realize they could share. So this way we get the best of both worlds, and she was happy. So he will get a pair. Actually, he's going to get a pair soon. So quite a difference.
Yeah. You know what? That's a great idea too, because that's one thing we've done in Canada is showing caregivers how to use the poles as well, because they're used by people of all different ages. And oftentimes I think when you've got, for so many people that have Parkinson's, sometimes that limits the outdoor activities that you can do with your friends and family. So one comment we've gotten a lot is when you show the caregiver, maybe you can get them to want to do this activity, or an older person does it with their daughters, because sometimes when you visit people, when they live at the senior living, access to that walking path is kind of one of the only ways you can stay active with each other. And so I think that's a great idea to show the caregivers what you want to accomplish, but also if you can get them to be involved in it. And of course, it's new to the United States. So sometimes what we found initially here in Canada, people didn't want to do it on their own. So if you are able to do it in a group, or, of course, that's a bit of a challenge right now, but if you do it with your clients, you're doing it together, that's going to help them to feel not so, getting so much attention. And also if the family can do it with them too, that's really neat.
Yes.
So I'm just going to show you one.
To look at the benefits, let's take a look at a case study done with the Xeno walkway with Barbara, who's 88 years old. You can see in this photo, you can see in the video that Barbara is walking with a slow gait pattern, she's taking small strides. She's walking very flat-footed that we often see with older adults. And this figure 8 is looking at her gait variability. Now let's compare that with Barbara walking with the activator poles. And you can see right away she's increased her gait stride. She's actually walking at a faster gait speed. She's actually lifting up her feet here. As you can see, you can actually see that she's actually lifting her feet and clearing the ground, which is going to put her less risk for falls. And what this is showing is significantly less gait variability.
Yeah.
Side by side.
Oh, beautiful. Look at that.
Yeah, and look at the difference. like one thing I just want to mention, sorry, I don't know why this does it as a pre-recording, but one thing that's really neat about just talking about reducing the falls while people are walking is, so many times when you're walking that flat-footed, that's when your foot is catching on the sidewalks.
The results show is that her speed increased by 37%.
It was when they clip on sidewalks and, so that having that confidence to actually lift up your feet again is really going to also help out with that risk of falls because, whether that's a changing in the flooring in your home or, that's a big reason why people fall, and getting people to actually realizing you need to lift up your feet, bend your knees and lift up your feet. And again, hoping that translates into a more normal walking pattern, whether they're using the poles or not.
Yes. Yeah. The more I talk with you, of course, the more I learn. Every time I learn so much, and I think of new ways to implement the poles. Keep going, please.
Oh yeah. No, so I'll just show you a couple more, and I just want to show you one thing I'll just show you how you change it for someone who, so this of course is someone who's quite frail, and he's using the poles, but she's just got, she's using a transfer belt, but I just find stay behind them. If you're worried about them falling, have them out front. You're behind. You've got your hands on their hips. You've already done your assessment, turn them okay. But if you're concerned about someone who is lower function, like this fellow, you can either use that transfer belt or actually have your hands on their hips. And the other thing I was going to say is the changes you saw in that picture before. Remember that people were using the pole diagonal. The best way was someone is using the poles instead who are frailer or already use a cane. This fellow used a walker. Is keep the pole vertical and your elbows bent. Because let me just play that again.
Is it about like 90 degrees?
Exactly.
Okay.
Right now, if you just stood up with me, bend your elbows at 90 degrees. That's the height you want it, and that's the technique. Okay. You're just going to keep your elbows bent the entire time. Your shoulders aren't going to stick by your sides, your arms. Okay? You're still going to have them bent. That's it. Your elbows are going to be bent, but you're going to move your shoulders, and you're going to keep that pole vertical. Okay? Because what the research showed, there's actually 2 studies now. What they've found is when a pole is vertical, there's much greater ability to put weight through it for balance, for offloading. So those are the primary changes. Before you saw I was doing this, right? So if you got a younger client, you really want to get them going, keep that elbow straight. It's more like a friendly handshake. Okay? That's it. And the pole's on a diagonal. When you've got a client, you want balance or stability, keep your elbows bent and move that shoulder joint. Because if you don't move the shoulder, here, let me just show you let me stop sharing for just 1 second. If you don't move your shoulders, it's hard to keep, can you guys see me or no?
Well, hold on 1 second because I'm going to make you big. Here you go. There you go.
Perfect. Let me just show you. So if you don't move your shoulders, you kind of want to lift and plant it to that front foot. If you don't move your shoulders, what happens is your pole can't, see how your pole really can't stay nice and vertical? But if I lift and plant it to that front foot, I can still get a nice arm swing. I'm doing an opposite arm and leg, and I'm moving my shoulders. And I can still get that over-exaggeration of, your gait. And that's the difference we change in well. Like we put this more to, the other ones come with a boot-shaped tip. So if you want to do the other technique, You can, we've got them with it can come with the boot as well, but if you've got the activator, which is the one that's, got the button shape
Right.
lock on it that Carl showed. So we actually developed with this button shaped lock because that holds 200 pounds per pole and it doesn't move.
Yeah.
We found a lot of people with Parkinson's, they don't have enough grip strength to do a tripping lock system. So this button is more like you'd see on a cane, and it's just really secure. And
it's actually, I'm just going to interject because it's very, very secure. I have a gentleman with PPMS, the rarest form of multiple sclerosis, who uses the poles every day, and he's still working. He's literally out in the field as a worker for our power company here, and he covers a large area. He uses the poles for work, and he's had them for probably 6 months, and they show no signs of wear. And there's no rattling or clanging or anything. I mean, he's not upset. He uses them at the grocery store. He uses them when he comes in to see me. He uses them to go upstairs, walk through the field. So it's really, they're very, I'm being an advocate for you and your company because I believe in the product so much. Not trying to be a sales guy, but, well, at the same time, I don't know if any that are a better quality than this. They're very durable, very solid.
Oh, thanks, girl. Well, yeah, I mean, over the 15 years, we've really prided ourselves on, making something that doesn't, fall. When, like, I always cringe when I hear people say, "Oh, just get a cheap pair at Walmart or,
me too. Yeah.
Costco." You have to remember the people. Just look for something that's good quality, right? Because if you look for something that's cheap, what will happen is the pole will collapse. And it's harder to lock, and yeah, just recognize that people need to use it for their day-to-day function. So, and then
don't just buy any good quality pair. Buy these.
Okay.
It's like, they really went in. You went into this with a large demographic in mind, of an array, an assortment of issues people can face, no matter what their age may be.
I mean, right now here in Canada, they're used for best practice for almost any condition, whether that's, pre and post hip and knee or, cancer rehab, amputees. So it's a real wide range that we've tried to look at, how to make it most effective. And the most common question I get is, why did we make it so that it's strapless? And so just to answer that question for you, we did it because we wanted to have the ledge keep your wrist more in a neutral position. So what we found is that with some of the straps, your hand goes in, you still got it in that extended position, which puts more stress on it. So it's keeping your wrist in that neutral position. But also, if you look at the research, the highest rate of injury with using walking poles is the strap itself. It's because if the pole gets caught or you trip and fall, you're so attached to the pole. So we wanted to have it so that, if the pole gets caught on something, you can let go of it, and the person isn't going to go down with it.
Yep.
Just the last thing I want to show you guys, so I'm not taking it, is just how we also have used it for a whole bunch of seated and standing exercises. Just to make, for so many different reasons, the exercise becomes less abstract. It's a fun tool. As you get older with Parkinson's, the more abstract concepts become, the harder it is to motivate yourself to use it, and the other thing is just in terms of creativity. There's just so many different options you can do with the poles.
Yeah, this is really good.
Yeah, I mean, this is standing exercises, right? Your ability to have that support on both sides. Look how much bigger these guys' movements are than compared. Imagine doing those same movements without the poles.
Yeah.
So, and then this is just, again, having that support on both sides, working on different surface areas or, different types of positioning tools or directions. It just gives people a lot more stability and safety and posture while you're doing seated and standing exercises. You can go a lot further with them. Again, that confidence and the posture. So anyway, that I'll leave it there. And then if anyone has any questions, I would be happy to answer any of those, or any other or comments people want to make, or
Any questions at all, anyone? My experience with these has been really, really good. And I actually intend to use them more and more and more, not just with people I work with, but myself. And I use them quite a lot, nearly on a daily basis. And like I say, I like, Miriam, that was a while ago. Okay.
it looks like there's a couple people saying, and Jane, do you want to, can they just unmute themselves and ask a question, or?
Oh, sure. Yeah.
I've been trying, I actually ended up going to eBay, but to recommend for clients like how to get a pair of specifically your brand, how do we go about doing that?
Well, Carl, I have given a link. Carl, do you want to give out your link after this, or?
Yeah. It's a long story. I'm not prepared to do it right this second, but I'm going to do that by tomorrow, because this goes through till tomorrow at 3. I have some information I want to give out, and that's one of the things, so that people can go there and shop. Yes.
And I have a second question, just because I have a Mandy here. So I took a course online, I guess earlier in the pandemic. I thought it was supposed to be emailed to us, but I never saw it.
With me?
No.
With Mandy.
Sorry, I did it with Mandy, and
okay.
I think it was a doctor, but I don't remember the doctor's name, and I had to leave halfway through.
So you did it with myself then?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, and sorry.
I did it through FAI.
And you never received it?
Mm-mm.
Oh, that's strange. Well, do you want to email me, and then we can, because usually I know with FAI we had a initial offer that was for $25, where you could get the course.
Mm-hmm.
And then a thing on Parkinson's, but how strange. Okay. So my email is Mandy with the Y.
Okay.
At urban. So you, like urban, like the city, URBAN, polling with 1 L, POLING.com. Yeah.
Perfect.
And then, so definitely email me, and we'll get that sent to you right away.
Perfect. Thank you.
Yeah. I think at some point too, Carl, hopefully we can have maybe a longer day where we could do that course too with your group.
Yeah, there's something I'd like to talk with you about soon.
Yeah.
Because I'm ready to rock and roll with that. I had a lot of technical difficulties this morning, and I'm looking for the link right now on my phone, but I think what I'll do is I'll make sure that I have it soon. Tomorrow for sure. I'll do my homework tonight.
Okay.
Because that way people saying you'd be able to get on and get a pair here, in the States. That's been the thing is, you'll be able to get a pair. So I'm saying it again. I'm repeating myself. And it's not just because Mandy's here. One of the reasons she is here is because I like these so much. So I'm not saying it just because she's here. She's here because they're good and she's great. So the quality is unparalleled, in my opinion, and from what I've found. And for just a few extra dollars, not even many at all, you got something that'll last a long time. And I'm not trying to sell you. I'm just saying, if you're going to get something, might as well get quality. And I look at it from a safety standpoint as well, because if people get another pair, they might last a year or something, or 2 or whatever. Yeah. But what if they collapse? what if you collapse at a bad time and you can't recover from a fall? You're down already. You couldn't stop yourself. So, and the straps, for a lot of them, they're an issue for sure. That's absolutely for sure. So, yeah, I'll make sure I have the link to share with everybody.
Okay.
And it'll also go out in the
great.
follow-up email with the recording of the entire event too.
So just so you know, these ones here, they're called our activator poles. But if you do have a younger client, just what you should do is just get the ones with the boot. Like you can also get the boot-shaped tips as well. So it's interchangeable. And then, of course, once you take this off, there's a carbide steel tip. And that's what you can use if you wanted them to walk in, you know, to do snowshoeing or hiking, or is just take that off and just use that carbide steel tip if they were traveling with it. So the reason why I say the activator, because we do have other types, is that with Parkinson's, with it being so variable and being progressive, what I found is if you tell your client to just get this one, they'll never have to get another one, right? It's all about just you. And then sometimes we found, like, even people in the early stages, if they have a day where they just feel more unsteady, they can use the bell-shaped tip. And the days that they want to really, you know, have a good workout, they can use the boot-shaped tip and do more of that fitness walking I showed you. And then other times they can just use the carbide steel tip. But hopefully too soon we can, if people are keen and interested, just let Carl know, and hopefully we can organize a bit more training for people and show you a bit more about the, you know, different techniques in the exercise.
So actually, I have the link here, so I'll share it in just a second.
Okay, great. Is there any other questions that people have? Oh, yep. Jill, is it Jill?
Yes. Are the poles, can you change the size of them for people?
Oh, okay. Yeah. Oh, great question, Jill. So absolutely. It is adjustable. So that's why Carl was saying that some people can put it into their suitcase. We do have a smaller one than this one. It's called the Activator 2. Now, just so you know, though, great question. This one goes from someone who's 4'10" to 6 feet. And if someone is taller, we have another one called Activator 2 that you should be able to get through Carl's link as well. And the Activator 2 goes up to someone who's about 6 feet, 4 inches. And the other thing I'll just mention too is that in terms of weight, as I mentioned, this holds up to 200 pounds per pole, but we do suggest the maximum weight is about 275 pounds. Again, if they're beyond that, I would suggest the Activator 2, which goes up to 325. So at this point, 325 is the highest we're recommending you use the poles. Hopefully in a year, we're going to have one that's higher, but that's the maximum weight that you want to go up to.
I just sent the link in the chat box, everyone, so it's there. And it'll come through in your email too, in the follow-up email after tomorrow.
Okay.
So,
which pole do you actually have, Mandy? Which pole are you working with right there? That one. What pole do you have in your hands?
Sorry, Jill, did you say which pole is that?
Yes.
Okay, so that one is called the Activator.
So it's just the Activator. Okay.
Just the Activator. And then we have another one called Activator 2. We have other ones that are just called like the Series 300 or the 4 Life, which, if, for example, we have some people's caregivers or kids just get the regular fitness walking pole, which actually just, you know, has a turning lock system instead of this button, because if you're just doing it for fitness, you don't need to have that weight bearing capacity of the Activator. So sometimes, you know, family members or friends will get the other ones that we have. But if someone's got Parkinson's, I would recommend the Activator just so that they, as I said, down the road or for, you know, days where they are more fatigued, they've got both options for stability and for fitness.
yeah, I love them. I mean, I know I've said that already, but so these are, I mean, mine C is somewhere on here, not too good. Activator, right? And then it's a push button system and it's super easy, you know, just make it the length you want based on what your goal is. Are you going to do the more the 90 degree with the elbow, or are you going to do the more brisk walking? Like for the more, let's say that gentleman who had more compromised balance getting up off of that bed where you showed us that, you're doing the 90 degree thing. So you've got some weight going into them, and the activators are great to, sturdy, solid, and they support the weight very well.
Thanks.
Yeah. And we should talk about that. I have, so I'll just digress for 1 second. I have a new granddaughter.
Adorable.
And she's actually here right now. I hear they'll be here all night, so it's fine, for a few hours. So I'm in no hurry to go anywhere, but I also, why did I just tell you that? I actually have no idea where that came from. No idea.
But it wasn't nice news. It was nice news.
It's so weird. I had a point. There was, yes, I have a granddaughter, our first grandchild. So between the election tension, which is now over, thankfully, and that's very nice. And then with the granddaughter and the cornea transplant I had, it's been kind of busy lately, but everything is moving forward. So I would love to talk about with you, Mandy, getting a course together, and then I'll invite everyone, and we'll do a thing.
Okay. Yeah, that would be great.
I went through the training at Urban Polling recently. Thank you, and I'm honored to be an instructor. So I'm really looking forward to getting started. It'll be great.
Yeah, that'd be excellent. Well, thanks so much, everyone. And if no one has any other questions, I'll let you guys head to your next discussion. But thank you so much. I really thanks, Carlos. It was a real
I want
honor
to mention a couple of
be
things
involved.
that I'm going to try using them for.
Okay.
One is to enhance my ramp up my cardio, like I've been doing fast walking. The other thing is some mornings my off time isn't that bad, and sometimes I actually try to do things when my medication hasn't kicked in a little bit, just to raise the awareness of my Parkinson's self, so to speak. And I think the urban polling would be great for that, because when I'm off a little bit, I don't want to reinforce dysfunctional movement, and and using the pole and poles for that situation is perfect. That's a great point, Russ. That's so important. Reinforcing less than optimal movement is no bueno. Yeah.
Russ, I'd be really interested in hearing how that goes for you. Yeah, using it in that regard. And so please, stay in touch or pass on that information to Carl, because I'd be just interested from your perspective.
That's fine.
Yeah, so let me just give you a handout with a summary of a lot of the points that I talked about, and where people can access some videos if they want to.
Perfect, even better. Yeah, and I'm sorry, because I really didn't mean to put you on the spot there.
No,
it's not my intention.
That's
my brain's a little foggy
today.
I'm starting to get foggy from. We haven't taken a break all day just because
I'm sure
we have a lot to do. So people come and go as they need, and they get a recording later. So this is great. So thank you.
Oh no, thank you guys.
Appreciate this so much.
Good luck with the rest of your day, and have fun with your granddaughter.
Thank you. Yeah, I can't wait. All right, Mandy, I'll be in touch soon.
Okay,
thanks so much for everything. All right. Bye-bye.